Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. So we did that one day class on the weekend, and it's various forms of meditation. Let's go ahead and open it up for questions, or you want to share experiences. You can unmute yourself or type in, and then we'll go through and we'll do a little bit of a practice.
Hey,
Yeah.
Greg, it's Ralph.
Hey, Ralph.
Hey, wanted to follow up. I had talked to you about doing some work for trauma,
Uh-huh.
and you were saying start with the Moses technique and
Yes.
end with the materialization breath.
Right.
And I remembered you saying something about if you start with the materialization breath, it tends to make things a little more effective or go easier.
Um, Trying to think of what we were talking about. I mean, you can mix and match the materialization breath, but the thing with going through and working the Moses technique is you are going to clear things out of the chakras. And
Mm-hmm.
so part of what happens when you do the materialization breath is you're shifting your mind out of intellect and more into intuition. You're stimulating the blue pearl, but you're also releasing light down into the earth. So if you start with that, I mean, it's good. The thing with doing the Moses technique is you clear things out so much that more can happen. And
Okay.
so you can even just go back and forth. I mean, sometimes I was doing that last night where I was doing the materialization breath and I was doing three brains and I was doing the materialization breath and then the three brains. I just kept going back and forth. And
Okay.
it's kind of like saying, I am that I am, I am that I am. At some point, like the I am's like flip.
Mm-hmm.
And you could do that with the materialization breath and the Moses technique. The goal would be to probably do them both together. You know,
Okay.
um, honestly, like I feel that like the materialization breath, you could add it to anything. It stands on its own. And if I walked away with like, oh, if I just had 15 minutes to do something, half the time I go, oh, it'd be the Moses technique, but man, that materialization breath's pretty good. Like it hits a lot of the markers for things that you want to do in like a meditation or prayer, prayer work. And
Mm-hmm.
so like here when you're going through and working deep trauma, you know, you're going to shift from intellect into intuition with the materialization breath, but you also want to get it out of the field. The materialization breath will do that somewhat, but the Moses technique, man, just as things come up, it just keeps flushing it out, flushing it out, flushing it out. And so you can experiment and see which one works better for you. But, um, I just go back and forth with both of them. Like
Okay.
I wouldn't, um, mm,
For
like,
example, do one round of Moses and then do one round of materialization and
yeah,
go back and do a Moses,
yeah,
go back and
yeah,
do materialization.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And you might find that it might not always be the same. Like, you might, like this is where I was kind of starting to go with this is like, when doing healing on somebody or working with somebody who's going through difficulty, like you put five people all that have the same issue, the process might be different for each person. And even as the person sits down to do it, like you might do this a few times, but kind of what happens is the intellect starts to go, oh, this is what we're doing. So I like the idea of mixing things up a little bit where, okay, yes, I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do that and I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do that. And then next time you almost throw the intellect a little bit of a curveball. I'm going to start with something different, then I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And the reason that I say this is like if you really watch how the intellect behaves, like I talk about this sometimes when, we're sitting around here in the office or, Samantha and I are with friends or something, but Have you ever watched like a show, like say like a sitcom or a comedy or something that you like, in those first few seasons, they're like, wow, this is good, it's getting amazing. And then after a while, it's like, it almost becomes an impersonation of itself. You
Right.
know what I mean?
They
Like
keep running the same shtick
they
over and
keep
over
running
again.
the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
That is the nature of the intellect right there. Like,
Okay.
so, like, you keep the intellect going, wait, what? Wait, what are we doing? Because the more that you do that, the more that you can have that inner movement. And you
Okay.
don't let the intellect grab on, you let it like understand it enough, but then you go, but we're going to do something different this time. And
Yeah.
it kind of knows what's going on, but it doesn't start impersonating the healing process. Because
Okay.
like if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, after a while, the intellect goes, yeah, I know how to fake this. Like I know how to impersonate this. I know how we don't have to have any movement. We can pretend that we have movement. And that is a real thing. And that's not like, oh, some people do it, some people don't. The more that the intellect is involved with that, the more that it's always going to have a potential. And so it's like that thing that I always say, like intellect's good at balancing the checkbook, but healing, not so great. And so you kind of have to keep it on its toes a little bit. Like it you don't want to let it get too comfortable because then it'll go, I know how to kind of fake this. I know how to distract. I know how to do these things. It's always trying to maintain what is going on. It doesn't judge it as good or bad. It just says, I will maintain this. And so what happens over a period of time, you go through and you start making all these shifts and all these movements, the intellect is going, but wait, I haven't been able to maintain these things that I'm doing. But you're wanting to move
I'm
out of,
laughing. I'm laughing because my mother, being the school teacher, trained me to be a smart rat.
right.
Okay. She
Right.
trained me to be a smart rat.
Right.
So as you're talking about this, I can see my intellect just how it goes through and does this. So yeah, okay.
Oh yeah.
So
Everybody's does.
mix things up, throw curveballs,
Right.
pick weird oils, yeah,
Right.
any all of it.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
And so you can even mix up like a little bit of the techniques. Like I mean that's what I was kind of trying to do on Saturday, was like, yeah, there's these pieces and you can kind of take those blocks and make a practice that's very specific to you, and you might not do the same thing over and over and over again. And if you think about like I'll say for myself, like if I sit down and I do the same meditation over and over again, after a while I stop going deep, because I'm doing the same thing over and over again. The intellect goes, I know what we're doing. Don't worry, we won't have any movement at all. You know, uh,
Yeah.
we'll sit in the position. You can put your shawl on. You can do all those things, and don't worry, uh,
I'll
we'll
take care of
maintain.
you. I'll
Yeah,
take
yeah,
care of you.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And
You'll take care
so,
of me. All right. I'll be taken good care of.
so like trauma is a good example. Like it's trying to go through and release it. The intellect, even though it might make the intellect uncomfortable, it knows it and it tries to maintain it. And sometimes it's like that's all the intellect knows. And if it lets go of it, it's almost like it doesn't know what to do. The intellect doesn't want to go there.
Yeah.
And so but here's the thing too. The intellect is very capable of handling that. It just wouldn't choose it for itself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I would say, yes, but then mix it up a little bit. Like, the more I mix things up, um, the more deep I go. And if you think about like the classes way back when, like a couple of years ago, they were very like this builds on this, that builds on this, and it was kind of like, don't want to do them out of order. That was trying to make the intellect like more flexible, like more like giving it kind of what it wanted so that it relaxed, so that you could come in and go, okay, yeah, we've changed it up a little bit. And it's like its guard is down kind of. But if you look at like how the classes have gone more recently, you can mix them up very easily. Like you don't have to necessarily do things in order. You can mix up how you do them, and even some of the oils that you might use. And so I like to go back and forth between that, because there's times where you gotta like appease the intellect a little bit. And in doing that, you can do things that make it more flexible, not so rigid. But then when it kind of goes, yeah, I got it, then you can step away and really go deep really fast.
Mm. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
The other thing that'll happen for me is sometimes when I pick an oil up, I'll notice that my breathing doesn't want to get real deep real
Yeah.
fast.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So you've tripped over that one
Yeah.
too.
Well, I'm laughing because I was watching somebody in a class that we like when we were live,
Mhm.
and it says 3 to 5 times, and they'd go, and then that was they were done. And like I watched them through the whole class, and like every time they'd go, and then they inhaled 3 times, but it wasn't
Mhm.
even like one long deep breath. And then
Yeah.
after that, they didn't go like if we did it for like 90 seconds, they
Mhm.
still did those 3 breaths. And I was like, eh, they're not getting the spirit of the situation, but they were like a new person. And
Yeah.
so I didn't say anything, but I watched and I was like, man, that intellect, like it really like they followed the amount, like they did
Mhm.
it 3 times, but like you said, it's like so you
Yeah.
almost can know like, oh, this one's gonna cause movement because like I had this other client, patient, whatever you call it, and I could always tell what oils would address the issue, because again, we were dealing with some deep issue from the past, because whatever oil was really going to nail it, she didn't want to have anything to do with it. Like she was like, no, I really don't like that smell. I don't want to smell it. I don't da. And it would be something like myrrh or frankincense or something. It wasn't even anything crazy.
Mhm.
And she's like, no, 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 no. And if I could get her to inhale it, things would happen. But she didn't want to go to those spots. And so like it's good that, because it's not even like knowing yourself, it's like knowing the intellect, because everybody's intellect does these tricks. Like it's
Mhm.
it's not super unique to us. We might disguise them in different ways, but everybody's intellect kind of does it. And so I catch myself doing that as well. Like, no, I'm not gonna do this, or I don't like that oil. And then I work it and I'm like, this oil's amazing.
Galbanum.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. All right. Good. All right.
That's
So
super good. That's super insightful of you, though. It was
yeah.
very, very good.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
You bet.
And then go ahead, Linda, then Dan.
Hey, Linda.
Hi, Greg.
Hey,
Hi, Sam.
hey. How are you?
Everybody good. Um, Interesting conversation there with you and Ralph. I was listening over the weekend to I can't remember if it was a neurologist or somebody on a podcast talking about habituation and how quickly we get habituated to anything.
Oh,
And
I
we
love that term.
isn't
Like
that great term?
I love that term. I mean,
Yeah,
that term just describes it.
exactly. Habituation. Yes.
Habituation. Yeah.
Yeah. She was talking about how even though, we go on vacation because we want to break up our routines and do different things. And yet how quickly we even get habituated to being on vacation. It's like,
Right. Right.
she said the study that they did showed that most people were most happy at hour 43 on vacation. And after that, everything kind of started to feel like, okay, we're here, we're doing it.
Yeah, you get into like a routine. I can think of vacations where like the first day or two is like, oh, we could do this, we could do that, we could do it. And then there was like, okay, every day we're gonna get up and do this. Like you almost have like this little schedule after the first couple of days. And it's like it becomes like a routine, like your work week, or at least
Yeah.
mine does. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna relax in this way. I'm gonna be spontaneous between 12 and 1, maybe 1:15. Like I'll be super spontaneous in that time, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my question with the Moses technique is,
Mhm.
is it good to use it like I may be seeing a new client, somebody who has never really experienced energy healing before. Would it be a useful thing for me to have him move through that? Not the
I would,
advanced version, but the regular version, like while I'm doing the
yeah, I would
healing?
do the softer version, just the
Yeah,
heart navel crown.
right.
I would say yes. And so this is my experience with it is, especially with, you're doing energy healing on somebody, and not only are you doing energy healing, but you're also doing a no touch type of energy healing. And sometimes for some people, it makes it more real if they're doing something or even like touch. And so that you're not doing touch, like one of the ways that I would do it sometimes is like have a person like, okay, think of a particular situation, and then you would work on them a little bit and just make a shift so that their mind could see like something's happening. And another way to do it is to have them do like a meditation or Moses technique during it, because they'll feel something. They're being active, they're being a participant, they're having to move their awareness a couple of different places. And then as you're doing the healing, it makes it more real for them. And so, like, I think a lot of times the healing still happens even if they don't acknowledge it, but it's like they hold on to the healing more if it feels more real to them. And I think running them through something, for one, it makes the healing stronger, but two, it makes it like more real, and their mind will kind of, if you're thinking about like even what we just said about the intellect, you can also use that in a positive way. Like if the intellect does that, so you give them this like thing that the intellect goes, I think something happened there, and they'll start to like maintain that. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
so however you can make it more real for them, I think is always good. And sometimes for a person, it might be that they just talk and get things off their chest. It might be that you just listen to them, or as they're talking, and not even asking questions. I find a lot of times questions really help. Like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Like, you just, because you're engaging the intellect to go back and reflect on something and recall something and then explain something, and it feels like something's being addressed. But another version would be the Moses technique.
Right. And okay, good. Because I have found when I guide people through breathing through something while I'm working on it,
Hmm?
it always helps and makes my job
I would
easier.
agree. I would agree. I would agree.
So what I was curious though is the Moses technique seems like something everybody can be doing. It's like
Yeah,
doesn't seem like there's any
yeah.
caveats with it about
I can't think of a reason why I wouldn't use it.
okay, okay,
Um,
good. Because then is it also something then to suggest to people to use afterwards on their
yes,
own?
yes.
Okay, okay,
The
good.
the only the only time that I would say is maybe sometimes, um, every once in a while you get, this is not quite common, but sometimes people get so like they've had such a downward spiral that any sort of little movement kind of throws them in crisis.
Mm,
You don't see this very often, but you'll usually see it with somebody who's really struggling with some sort of psychological issue or very severe like physical issue that might have a psychosomatic component to it. And sometimes you have to do like little tiny baby steps to get them out. And even then they won't get them out. It's almost like they're, how claustrophobic people won't go outside. It's like
mm,
they won't go outside their intellect. They get like this intellectual claustrophobia that if there's any sort of movement, they're not in.
mm,
And I still have used it on situations like that, because my experience is, out of all the years of doing therapy, I'd say there's only been a handful of people like that. Um, uh, at some point, you just got to take the chance of like, let's move them out of this.
mhm,
And if they don't want to do it and they don't want to come back, then they weren't going to make any movement anyway. Like, you
mhm,
try some baby steps and you do this, and then If it was just too much or they're not willing, you probably weren't going to make a lot of progress any way, shape, or form. And so I still try to do it in a very gentle way, but it's almost like trying to throw them a lifeline. And if they don't grab it, it's like, you know, I just let it go after that. You know, if they keep
Yeah.
coming, they keep coming. If they don't, they don't. And
Yeah, this isn't, I'm not going into it with assuming there's a psychological underthing. This is a construction guy whose back went out on him, and his lower back, and he's having all those issues with the hip and the
oh yeah,
psoas and the iliac. And what I wanted to do is to try and give him a respite from it, to sort
right,
of
sure,
cycle that his body's gotten himself into now.
right.
And so that's why I was kind of hoping to introduce him to the idea
Yeah,
of,
probably a guy like that is probably a ton of stress in his body. Like I
right.
would just guess, because like stress could be just physical stress. Like I call it mechanical stress. He might be standing on his feet for 10 hours a day, doing the same motion all the time, standing in weird positions, lifting things, and it
Right.
just causes a bunch of like mechanical stress that at some point the body is just like, I'm done.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking may have happened to
Yeah,
him. So,
yeah.
but you get into that cycle of now your body's in all this stress from all of this pain that he can't get out of. And I was thinking if I could help him to break that cycle,
Yeah.
that would be helpful for his body to move into a rest and repair mode. So, okay.
A person like that too, like, even though there's the back and hip, I always like to look at the diaphragm. Like,
Yeah.
like loosen up the diaphragm because the diaphragm will also loosen up the spine,
Yeah.
and the diaphragm will just start to relax the body. And you don't have to spend tons of time on it, but I always like to kind of like somebody like what you're describing, the diaphragm is usually a thing that I go to right off the bat.
Okay, cool. And the breathing will help that if I get him breathing.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
And then go ahead, Dan, then Lolly.
Hey, Dan.
Hey,
Hey.
hey, just kind of checking in from this morning, actually. Yeah, feeling a bit better than this morning. So that's
Okay.
definitely
Good.
Yeah.
I'm
It was
still
just
gonna
kind
do what we said. So like after the session, I'll reach out to you.
okay. Just okay, but definitely better. So all good. Yeah,
Good.
yeah, yeah. I liked your term too, the intellectual claustrophobic. That was a good one with the
Yeah. Like I,
habituation.
like I always kind of like think of like how to say that, and in the moment I was like intellectual claustrophobia.
That was actually like my dad a lot. I mean, he was really
Yeah.
just in that, you know. It approached him once with a silver colloidal. Ah,
Right.
yeah, it just is like no, didn't even work. So all good.
And
Okay.
it's always interesting. Like a person might be that way across the board, but sometimes they just have areas that they're like that. Like they might be open in certain areas, but in certain areas, don't move anything, don't rearrange anything, don't,
Yeah.
And so
Don't
it's not always across the board.
good stuff. Okay. So yeah, we'll check in later. Okay.
Be good.
Thank you.
And go ahead, Lolly.
Hey, Lolly.
Hey, so I'll go back to what Linda said. She's actually the one who inspired me to use the Moses technique with a client. And I used it on and I used it on a relatively new client, and I was really surprised that it was amazing. She was really relaxed afterwards, and because I wasn't sure how it was gonna go.
Right.
So that worked really well. As far as because I wasn't sure, I did only a few rounds, but usually what you would go through the entire session, or
Yeah, you could go at the instructions given by Moses was 7 times. So you could go through and you can make the cycles really quick, or you can start to make them like start out quick and go longer, or if a person you think they can handle it, just make the gaps between going from the heart to the navel to the crown like bigger gaps, and it will intensify it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was also another thing I was working wondering as I was working on her, I'm like, wait, how much time am I keeping
Yeah.
her in each one of the, okay. And then so about 7 times.
Mhm.
Now, if I don't do it on every client, but somebody who's, is a pranic healer, whatever, familiar with, twin hearts, so I do
Mhm.
twin hearts at the beginning
Yeah,
of
yeah,
the
throw them in
session.
twin hearts.
Would
So,
now,
so
if I'm doing twin,
uh-huh.
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so a variation, like if you have somebody who like they're used to it and they can go deeper, the variation, be it Moses technique or twin hearts, throw their feet in a salt, like a salt tub, like do
Yes.
a foot tub with them at the same time, and it will just amplify it to an even higher degree. And you can use something like
Yes.
hyssop or marjoram, something cleansing, charcoal root cleanser, and it just flushes things
Mhm.
out. Even sage would be another good one, like the things that you're using.
Yeah.
If you think there's a lot of emotional thing, astral projection is a really good one to use, either for the breathing pattern or for the foot tub.
Okay. And then, yeah, and I've done that before with the feet in salt water with clients. And if it's somebody who doesn't really have anything, then you would go what, like lavender and maybe frankincense?
Yeah, lavender, frankincense, those would work as well. Lang lang
Okay.
could be another one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if I were to do
Spikenard.
really twin hearts, okay.
Mhm.
And then if I were to do twin hearts, would you actually do the Moses afterwards, or you would just do
No,
either
I would
or?
just do one or the other. Yeah.
Okay.
They're
So
very
it
similar.
might be too
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, they're
Okay,
very
yeah,
similar.
okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And then one of the questions at the beginning with the Moses technique and the materialization breaths. So let's say, because I've done some of the practices and I mean, it takes a while if you're doing all of them. So let's say I
Mhm.
don't have a lot of time. What would be my choice? Would it be better to
So
do less
if-
rounds from, yeah.
If you wanted to integrate the materialization technique, I would actually, as the healer, like think of them like you have them give all their things that they're wanting to address, and then think of them,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you do the materialization breath, and then they would do the Moses technique, and then
Right.
if you
No.
wanted, like at the very end of the session, you could have them visualize themselves healthy or like happy, or whatever the issue is, just visualize themselves like in a positive light, and then you guide them through the materialization breath that way. Yeah.
Okay. And actually, no, well, thank you. What I was wondering was actually when I'm doing the practice for myself, let's say I don't have a lot of time to do 7 rounds of the Moses and I don't have, so is it better to do like 1 or 2 rounds of the Moses
Yeah.
technique and then
Oh, yeah.
the materialization breath to just make
Yeah.
sure that both of them are in
Sure.
there?
Or you can even do one or the other. Like sometimes I'll just sit and do the Moses thing for 15 or 20 minutes, like if I don't have that much time. Or I'll do a few cycles of the materialization breath until I start kind of getting spacey, and then I'm like done, and it usually doesn't take very long, like 15, 20 minutes, and I'm in a place where like I'm moving it. And the thing that so the Moses technique is good for cleaning things up, but if you're really trying to like bring something into like a healing or like a goal or a project, or like a shift in something, I find that the Moses technique is good for cleaning things up, but putting that in motion and going in that direction, the materialization breath is much better. And so you might, like the first few sessions, do the Moses technique with a person, but then you're like, okay, we're treating asthma or something. And then, okay, now on the 4th session, we're not going to do Moses. We're going to have you visualize yourself breathing, exercising, climbing a mountain, whatever it is they want to do, and then have them do the materialization breath instead of doing the Moses technique to kind of set the pattern of momentum of kind of going back to like bypassing the intellect, like we were talking about. You kind of start pushing it more in motion in that arena.
Okay. Thank you. And then the other one that you did on Saturday for the pineal gland, also you can do it basically daily. The
Also, you
blue
can do it
pearl.
what?
So
Oh, daily?
the other
Yeah,
one
you
that
could do
we
it daily.
did, the blue pearl.
Sure. For a new person, it might be a little much. They might need to do it like maybe
No,
once or
but
twice a
something,
week.
no, but for,
For
no, for
you,
myself, if I'm
easy.
doing that.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
easy daily.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so if
That's
I
a good
don't have
one
enough
because
time,
it activates it and it maintains it. You know how like sometimes you'll do the meditation and you activate it and it maintains it, but by the end of the day it kind of goes back. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
will make it last for much longer periods of time and sometimes just make it like anchored. And so
Yeah.
I would do that daily. Yeah.
okay. Now, if I'm going back to PH for a second, so there's the blue pearl meditation, the meditation of this on the soul, the other.
Mhm.
With that one, they say a lot of times it's not good to do it too often.
Yeah,
Like,
you're
don't
just
do it too
stimulating
much, it
something in the
activates.
head. Yeah, you're doing something
Right,
different
because
there.
it,
Yeah.
but that's okay because this one,
Yeah.
because the other one activates only the head area, and with what we
Right.
did on Saturday, it moves
Right.
everything around.
Right.
Okay, just wanted to
Yeah,
double
yeah,
check
yeah.
that I got that.
Yeah,
part.
they're
Okay,
different
perfect.
they're doing the same thing, but they're different animals. You know, because
Yeah.
there's a version of doing kind of that blue pearl with oils, but that one once a week, maybe even once every 2 weeks, because it's so strong and it's so stimulating and it's just all up here. Like it doesn't go,
Right.
you know, you sweep it down into the body, but it doesn't do
Exactly, but
thing.
it's
And so
Mhm.
it's a little bit different. Yeah.
yeah. So this one
Because
I can
even the
do daily, the other
materialization
one,
breath, materialization breath is also activating the blue pearl.
yeah.
It's just doing it in
Okay.
like a different way. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then something we didn't talk about on Saturday, but when you do the Lama yoga,
Mhm.
which is basically like Dhyan, right?
Right.
Okay, so with this one, you would also do it daily?
Well, here's what I'd say about doing it daily. You could do it daily, but it will make you more sensitive. And so
Right.
if you're already sensitive or you're starting to get more sensitive, you know, maybe every other day or a couple of times a week, but
Yeah.
you know, be it whichever version you're doing, because they're basically the same thing.
It's basically, okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, they're the same thing. The thing that amplifies the potency is, you know, how like, okay, be aware of your body. Like, you know, you sit and you meditate on those spots in the body. Or if you're being
Mhm.
aware of your breath or being aware of your thoughts, really spend time like being aware of that, even longer that is on like some of the CDs and things. And
Yeah.
so, you know, if you notice, like a lot of times when I lead like a Lama yoga, I'll do like a quicker version, and that's kind of more for like if you're doing it daily. But like when you really sit down and do like a deep version of it, you would do, you know, you would do the breath, but you would really spend time putting awareness on those different spots of the body, on the spine, on your breath, on the thoughts, and eventually even the surroundings, like, you know, a person,
Mhm.
an active situation, a past event. But you don't have to do it all in one sitting, you know, just different times do different things.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And then just one more thing, actually also going back to Linda's question, she was asking about the guy that she has, and you mentioned opening the diaphragm. There's a video, so when yesterday there's the diaphragm release session that you posted. I actually did that this morning, and it's actually helped a little bit with the other stuff I have going on. But then I'm wondering, when you're doing it for a client, would you really do more? So would you do that as well? Like even
Doing with
without
oils
the
or
oils
doing with
potentially?
healing?
So if I'm, so let's say I'm basically asking about both, because I can clean
Yeah,
the diaphragm,
I
I
would
can
do
clean the
either.
lungs and everything.
Yeah, I would do either way. Like, so the thing is, so, you know, there's the oil protocol that we posted, but if you're doing it with heat,
Right.
go in kind of like through the solar plexus and just start sweeping the bottom of the ribs, like side to side. And sometimes energizing it is more effective than actually cleaning it. And if you were to use the colors to use would be greenish yellow and then greenish violet, the delicate regeneration. And it's just
Yeah.
because like those re-educate the nerves. And a lot of what happens when the diaphragm is tight is it throws off the nervous system and it throws off the nerves like in that muscle. And so it's a way
Mhm.
to, like anytime you use violet, it diminishes like fight flight or a stress response. It'd be a cleaning or energizing. And so here you're using a greenish yellow. And if you feel that it's still not enough, you could even follow it with just some violet. And it will, if you treat it over a period of time, it will change their lower emotions. It will open up the spine. It will change cognitive function. It relaxes the body. It takes a bunch of tension out of the body. And over a period of time, it will actually even like reduce anxiety. And then whatever other protocols you're doing, it will augment that because you're putting the body in a different kind of like state. Like you're putting it in a state where it can make shifts and make changes and calm down. Where like a lot of times we do healing or we use oils and we're moving a couple steps forward, but we move back because the body's not really ready to like shift or change. It's like that intellectual claustrophobia can have like the same version of it in the body where the body's like, I'm not changing, I'm not doing this. Like homeostasis is maintaining something, not shifting and changing. And so sometimes the body won't go, yes, this is going to make me feel better. It doesn't see that. It just says like, look, don't move. We've got this all organized. We've got this. We know what we're doing. Just like don't move. And sometimes you really have to almost like fool the body into going into like a healing mode because it doesn't always want to go into healing. If the more the person is in fight flight, so sympathetic activity, the more the body will not go into a healing process. Like healing has to go into that parasympathetic state. So you really have to address stress and calm the body down and calm down those fight flight mechanisms so that it can shift over into parasympathetic activity.
Right. Yeah. And I had that with a client yesterday, which was a great example for
It's a
a
lot
physical
of,
thing. And I'm like, yeah,
yeah,
like I have to treat the emotional because the
Yeah.
body was so tight.
Yeah.
So
That's
really working
probably
on the
most people that are coming to you. Like I'd say 60 or 70% of people who are seeking out healing, that's a very good place to start because they're stressed out, they don't feel good, they might have been struggling with something for a while, the work might be wearing on them for a while, they might not be sleeping good. All of that would manifest as this kind of tension, and it's a really good place to start, regardless of what you're treating. I think
Yeah.
Robert had the person on, didn't he have that woman Cheryl on that with the eye thing? So this woman came to me with like she basically woke up one morning, she was blind in one eye. She'd gone to all the doctors and everything, and she came to me for healing. And she was traveling, so we booked like a 2-hour session just because of the travel and everything. And I was like, I don't know what we can do, but I'll try. I treated her for stress for an hour and 15 minutes. And then I was like, okay, the next 45 minutes, I'm going to devote to the eye. And I just, after an hour and 15 minutes, I went, how are you doing? Because I was getting ready to go to the eye. And I just wanted to check in with her. She goes, yeah, my vision's about 90% better. And I was like, wait, what? Like I wasn't even treating the eye. Like I didn't even get, like I treated the brain, I treated the body, I treated the joints, I treated the spine, just stress. And as soon as all that stress was gone, her eyesight came back. And it stayed. Like it,
Yeah.
we did a couple touch-up sessions after that, but it was, her brain was so stressed out that it actually did things to blood vessels and nerves and if I would have treated the eye, I probably would have made no progress. Because
there's
you were having to
yeah.
overcome the stress.
Right.
Yeah.
So then if I were to do, let's say I'm doing a cycle, so you would start with the diaphragm regardless to release everything. And then I can, even if I do psychotherapy, I can just do it afterwards.
do psychotherapy, but spend a lot of time with violet before you go electric violet. Because the violet will, just by its nature, will start changing the physiology. And then when you do the psychotherapy proper, like it will just, come off like melted butter.
Okay, thank you. And I did work differently with cleaning the aura, and it's, oh my God,
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
cleaning it more all of a sudden. It's game changer. Yeah,
Yeah, isn't it?
thank you so much.
It's super game
Yes.
changer. I'm
Yeah.
so excited about the auric programming class. Like, I keep adding oils to it. I think we're up to 48 oils. I was like, we're going to be able to cover so many different things, but it's because of that. Like if you really treat the aura well, everything becomes much easier to treat.
Right. And then, okay, so if we're talking about the aura, I'll ask something. If you can't answer here, then it's fine.
Mhm.
382, if I'm doing that as a deeper, so would
Yeah, you could
do
do
the same
3-2 or
with,
just do the violet
right,
and the electric violet, the 4-1, it's because that's all that is a variation of that. And so you could do either one.
right.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah,
what do you
because
mean for one?
the 4-1 is
Oh, yeah.
is still like 4 parts violet, 1 part electric violet. That's the same idea. You're preparing the body. And think of it like this. When you're working with violet, what you're also working with is the aether element. And the aether element will affect change and healing to a much greater degree than the other elements. It's almost like it will tell the other elements what needs to happen. And so by using the violet, you're not just shedding the stress, but you're aligning the building blocks of the body, the elements and the elementals, to like, okay, everybody, change is coming, get ready for it. And then you do go through and you do the divine light or electric violet or whatever. It will take hold. But sometimes if you do the psychotherapy and the body's not in the right place, especially that element and the violet, the stress, it almost just like passes through the person. Like the energy is too high a vibration and it just passes through a stressed out body because the stressed out body can't hold on to it. It's like
Mhm.
too gross, it's too lower vibration. And so sometimes
Yeah.
with like really chronic health issues or somebody who's having a really difficult time, you have to kind of start with a low vibration energy and then keep amping it up for the higher vibrations to work.
Yeah, makes sense. And I tend to do 382
Mhm.
quite often.
Yeah, it's a good
because
combination.
of that.
Yeah.
So, but then when you're doing that, am I still working all the 4 quadrants in each one?
Yeah,
or-
you could. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. Because I was doing maybe like the first part and then the rest of them like a little bit quicker, but you would do maybe on each
Right.
one.
And think of it like this, that it doesn't have to be manual movements. It's just like a kind of amount of time, like 3 parts this, 8 parts this, 2 parts this. So that could be one time around each one, but each one you spend more time, 3 minutes versus, I mean, this is not exactly it, but like
Yeah, I get it. Okay.
3 minutes, 8 minutes, 2 minutes, like you could do, and it's just one time around. Like, so you could do it like that.
Okay. Wow, that's totally different way of looking at things.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so
Because
much.
it's just ratios. Like you're just playing with ratios.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're so.
And go ahead, Linda.
Hey, Linda.
Hey, oh goodness, thank you for all of that. That was amazing. All those great questions and fantastic stuff. And I'm did I lose my question? Let me think for a second here. Okay, no, back to the Moses technique.
Mhm.
I've been playing around, as I do. And I've been doing it like while I'm out for a walk, right? So
Okay.
I'm out walking and it's like, I don't have anything I have to really think about. So I think, well, why not like focus on my back heart, focus on my navel,
Mhm.
what I mean? It's like,
Mhm.
I guess what I'm wondering is like, is there any reason to be concerned about doing it too often, doing it too much?
Not been my experience.
Okay.
Like the only thing that I would say with something like that is be sure you just don't lose track of like where if you're footing, you're walking on uneven ground or you start spacing out. Other than that, I say game on.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
part of it is I feel like I'm wanting to get better at maintaining my awareness on
Mhm.
like my back heart or my,
Mhm.
maintaining my awareness on things while I'm engaged in daily life.
Hmm.
So that's kind of what I've been trying to
Yeah, I
train
love that.
myself
Yeah.
with. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other question that came up that I played with the other day was doing some cycles with it with the inhale and the exhale, but then like on the last cycle, inhaling and exhaling only through the nose. And
Yeah,
it
that's
felt
fine. Yeah,
because
that's
it
fine.
kind of felt to me like when I did that, like the inhaling, exhaling through the nose felt like it was energizing things instead of cleaning things. Does that make sense?
It's possible. I would have to play with it. Like,
Okay.
yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Um, let me play with it and I'll get back to you on that.
I'd be curious because it
Yeah.
was an interesting thing because it was like, oh, that felt like I just filled up and
Mhm.
like held everything instead of
Mhm.
releasing it with the exhale.
Mhm.
But I also felt like you wouldn't do that all the time.
Yeah, let me play with it and I'll get back to you and let's see what that does.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
And give me just 1 second. I have something to tell Greg. All right, and I think we should do a little practice.
No practice? Okay. We covered that stuff on the weekend, so let's maybe add let me think about this for a second. We did the simple, we didn't do the advanced Moses technique on the weekend, did we?
No.
So how about we'll do the Moses technique, but we'll do an advanced version. And just to give you guys like the ones where you're using it in sessions and things, I'm in the process of doing writing and making the kit for the Auric class, which has taken me like a week, because it's so big. And but when we're done, we're actually going to make some recordings of like the Moses technique, but with like some bowls and like a gong and some other things, all so that you guys can sit and listen to it and be guided through it, but also with some things that also will deepen the practice. Maybe a little mantra or something depending on the meditation. So we're going to be doing that for a few things, and we're just going to give them to you guys when they're done. So we'll make them available for a download or I don't know that they need to be video, but
Okay, whatever you
I
wanna do.
don't know. Maybe we'll work out those details, but it's on my to-do list. We just I have to schedule everything, otherwise it won't get done. So um it will be in a few weeks to a month that we get that out. And so with that, let's have you close your eyes and we'll do the advanced Moses technique.
Want him to grab an oil?
Yeah, let's use an oil. If you have sage or hyssop, let's use that. If you want to work on something emotional, the astral projection does help things move. But other than that, just get something that's relaxing / cleansing. Okay. So you're thinking of something you wish for healing or an area of your body. Can even be something psychological. And as you're reflecting on it, your awareness is on your front heart. You're inhaling the oil, and you're moving your awareness to the back heart, that area between your shoulder blades. Then move your awareness down to the navel. And then 1.5 inches below your navel, now from there, push through your body, coming out at the back side of the navel on the spine, your low back area. So move your awareness through the body to the low back navel. Now from there, you're going around the sides of your body, the hips, coming around to the navel again. So you're moving your awareness around the outside of your body, coming back to the navel. From your navel up to your crown, top of your head. And then just let go. Let go for a moment, just let go. Okay, again, your awareness is on the front heart, reflecting on the area for healing. Awareness is on the back heart. And then down to your navel. An inch and a half below your navel. Your awareness is on your navel, an inch and a half below your navel. Push through your body, coming out on the back side, the Mingmen area or the back navel. Float it around the sides of the body, coming back around to the navel. And then your crown. And just let go. Reflect on the area for healing. Your awareness is on the front heart. Move your awareness to the back heart. Your awareness is on the navel. An inch and a half below your navel. Push through the body, coming out on the back side. Float it around your hips, coming back to the navel. And then your crown. And then just be still. Let it all go. You're reflecting on what area you want to heal. Your awareness is on the heart. Bottle to your chest, chin down. We're going to do some materialization breaths. Inhale, hold your breath. Up, exhale. Down, Inhale, hold your breath, up, exhale. Down, hold your breath, up, exhale. Down, inhale, hold your breath, up, exhale. Down, inhale, up, exhale. Down, inhale, up, exhale. Do 3 or 4 more on your own. And then just be still. And as you're being still, your awareness is on the Ming Men, the low back area, the backside of the navel. Your awareness is on the Ming Men and your brain at the same time. Yeah, you're inhaling as you're doing this. Your awareness is on the Ming Men and brain at the same time. Let that go. Your awareness is just on your back heart, between your shoulder blades. Your awareness is on your back heart and your Ming Men, which is your low back area, at the same time. Let that go, and your awareness is on the soles of your feet. And then just let go. Let go of everything. How did that treat you? Okay, you guys. I think everybody's good unless somebody has a question or something, but we kind of just compiled everybody and had a meditation stew tonight. Yeah, but kind of going back to like what Ralph was saying and what we were talking about with all the different things is you can kind of mix and match this, and I find I go deeper when it's not always just repetition. Repetition is good, especially for people who are beginning, but at some point, it just like loses its punch. It loses its, so it's nice to mix it up. So, okay, you guys. Well, I think there's a bunch of you we'll see on the weekend. It's a review for a lot of you, and yeah, we'll see you then, and then also next week, Tuesday and Wednesday. So take care.